What's up, everyone? My name is Trent. This is Rams Talk. Thank you for joining in on a Victory Monday. How sweet it is. How sweet it is starting the season 1-0. We all knew we would, right? I mean, let's not pretend. We all knew we'd win that game. The Rams would win that game. But still, they got to go out and do it. Bears still hold the all-time record, 54, 39, and 3. But one more victory closer to the all-time tie there. The Rams are 3-0 in the last 3 meetings. 3-1 if you count 2018, but who wants to do that? But I mean, I just got to say, I'm sure all of you out there are thoroughly impressed with this Rams win. They checked all the boxes except for the run defense, but hey, we'll let that slide for this. But anyways, if you are new to me and to this channel, please subscribe, turn on your notifications for all the legacy subscribers and the new subscribers. It's good to see you. It's good to talk to you again. If you joined the live stream right before the game, good to see you there as well. But you can also follow me on all the Rams, LA Rams, Real LA Rams Talk. So let's just get into this. Now, I mean, I think the biggest question mark coming into this game was, how's the defense going to play with the new coordinator? But also, I think everyone's eyes are just on Stafford, right? The first time we've had a new quarterback in 5-6 years. And, I mean, it went perfectly. I mean, you think of the best case scenario of how Matthew Stafford would perform as a Ram in his first game, and that was it. I mean, I don't know how you get any better than that. He had 156.1 passer rating, which is nearly perfect. A perfect passer rating is 158.3, so he's just 2.2 off. So I don't know what else you want from that. He looked great. He looked poised. He was airing it out. And I was going to save this till a little later, but I'll just get into it now. He had 2 50-yard plus passes in this first game with the Rams, as the Rams did all last year. They only had 2 50-plus passes last year. This year, already 2 in one game. That's what we want. That when we got Stafford is he going to air it out? He's going to air it out. Explosives. Not explosives with yards after the catch, but explosives with air yards. I mean, the third play of the game. And I'm not going to lie, that play, that bomb to Jefferson gave me the feels. Because he rolls out, he hits it, touchdown, and you see him, high stepping down to the end zone. You look, then the camera cuts over and Jalen Ramsey's going crazy, and it was like that team I felt was so pent up from in 2020, and the Aaron Donald and Jalen Ramsey and the defense carried the offense, and they put on a really good. They were good team players, right? But behind the scenes they're just like, man, Jared Goff just isn't it. And here comes Matthew Stafford, and just boom. We were talking about the deep ball the whole time. You watch my game previews, and it was all about the deep ball, the bomb. And, man, it felt so good. And, I mean, that was also a brain fart on Chicago. Yeah, Jefferson caught that ball legit, but they should have touched him before he got down. And the Kupp bomb, I mean, that was just shades of Marcus Peters, just completely miscommunicating and thinking that there was a safety behind him. But, man, it was just great to see. And, Stafford completed. He averaged 9 yards per completion in the air, whereas Goff yesterday, 3.8. And I'm not sitting here trying to trash Goff because, I mean, he almost brought the Lions back. They almost beat or tied the San Francisco 49ers. So, I mean, I'm rooting for Goff. I want Goff to play well, honestly. You look at his stats yesterday, Jared Goff played well, but then you look underneath it, and Jared Goff threw for more yards yesterday than Matthew Stafford. 338 compared to 321. So only 17 more yards, but on 31 more attempts. So he had 57 passing attempts to get 338. Matthew Stafford had 26 passing attempts to get to 321. I mean, that in a nutshell, plus no turnovers for Stafford. And I think Goff had at least 1 interception, which was a pick 6 against San Francisco. That's what he does. That's his thing. So anyways, that really just tells the whole story of Stafford versus Goff. Because if we had Goff in this game, it would have been like kind of what Andy Dalton was doing, but with better receivers and just the offensive line and everything. So Stafford was awesome, and I just feel really good about it. So anyways, just the matchup in general, I think there are a couple stats that really tell the tale. The Bears ran 19 more plays than the Rams, but they had 2 turnovers. They were 0 for 4 on 4th down, including both of those turnovers, I believe, were on 4th down. At least one of them was. But, the Rams, this is really how the Rams didn't have the ball much, but they went touchdown, field goal, punt, touchdown, touchdown, touchdown. That was it. All of their drives, except for one, accounted in points. So super efficient. And they were exactly who we thought they would be, or at least what I thought they would be. Now, on the defensive side, just real quick with the stats of the game, last year, their number 1 rated defense, they were number 1 in points allowed per game at 18.5. And they were first with yards per game at 281.9. So obviously they're already ahead of that number in terms of points per game. They had 14. They allowed 14 against the Bears. And then with yards per game, 322 in this game. So they're about 40 yards higher in allowing yards in this game compared to what they averaged last year. And most of that was on the running, the rush attack. But other than that, I think, those are just some big stats there. But I think that really tells the tale of what happened in this game. And going back to Stafford real quick, and there's a play that really illustrates what makes him different from Jared Goff and just kind of like what makes him unique or something that we're not used to seeing from a Rams quarterback. And that is on that Robert Woods touchdown. He's scanning. Like you could see him going to different reads. He feels the pocket collapsing. He steps up in the pocket and then throws that pass to Robert Woods, which is a catch it at a high catch point, throw it at a high catch point for the receiver. And it's like what he did to Calvin Johnson and Kenny Golladay and Hawkinson, and that's what he does. He gives his receivers a chance. And it reminds me of last year against the Cardinals when John Wolford was playing, and he threw a ball on the right sideline to Robert Woods, and Robert Woods kind of jumped up and over the back of the cornerback and caught it. And I feel like Goff never gave the Rams the receivers those 50-50 balls. He's like, you just catch it cleanly on a slant or a crossing route or a post or something like that, catch it cleanly. He's not just kind of throwing it up and letting the receiver go up and get it. And you could already see that Matthew Stafford's doing that. He's bringing that over to the Rams. And, Robert Woods, the Rams receivers have good hands. They can do that if you give them a shot. So that was also very encouraging to see. Now, if you were there for the live stream or watched my game recap, you would have known that I said, hey, these are 2 players, one on offense and one on defense to look at. One on offense was Van Jefferson. And yeah, look at what Van Jefferson did. And then I was thinking about it because, Van Jefferson, he had the fastest game speed at the Senior Bowl. And I think Henry Ruggs was at that Senior Bowl, and there was a couple of their speedsters at that Senior Bowl, but Van Jefferson was the fastest in the game. Then he gets to the NFL, a lot of hype, Rams fan last year in camp over Josh Reynolds. But Josh Reynolds out-snaps him or out-targets him last year, 81-31. And then you hear about Van Jefferson having this good, camaraderie with Matthew Stafford in camp this year. And he had 36 snaps compared to 14 for Deshaun Jackson. And he obviously caught that bomb. He also had another key conversion. And even though Deshaun Jackson is the speed threat, he's the burner. Tutu Atwell is the speed threat and the burner. It was Van Jefferson getting behind the defense, right? So I think when you think about last year's narrative of the Rams didn't have someone who could take the top off the defense, I think it might be more that the quarterback last year just didn't throw it down the field, So that was just interesting. But Van Jefferson, 36 snaps compared to 14 for Deshaun Jackson. I'm sure all these will change. But also what I thought was really cool, all the different formations that I noticed. Sometimes it was hard to see if it was Van Jefferson or Robert Woods, if they're lining up, because I couldn't see, they didn't have the number on their shoulder pad. But there was one formation that I think it was Higbee and Van Jefferson on the outside, and then Kupp in the slot, and then Hendo and Woods in the backfield, like as a wishbone, and then it was the handoff to Woods. So that was like a really crazy, funky formation. And then also on a third down conversion, I think it was Kupp and Woods, Deshaun Jackson, and Hendo all split out wide, right? So Hendo and Deshaun Jackson lining up as receivers. I mean, Deshaun Jackson's a receiver, that makes sense. But, you have Woods and Kupp as well. So, I mean, like the fact that they can mix and match and just have this complete flexibility of the offense. And when they say Sean McVay can open up his offense, like the offense is wide open. It's the Grand Canyon. So I think we're going to be treated to things that we never even considered. We knew perhaps that like we would see some crazy formations and personnel packages, but I mean, nothing like we were actually going to be seeing. So that kind of rocked my world a bit. And then also on the fourth down rollout to Van, I talked about that key completion that he had, and he was rolling out, and Van was rolling out with him, and he was scanning, looking around, and then he threw it. Whenever Jared Goff, remember against Seattle last year, and he was rolling out to the right, and he just threw that floater to Quandre Diggs. So, I mean, it all comes back to Goff, but I think it's more or less like, Stafford can do these things effectively. And you just see the differences. And I'm not trying to slander Goff. I'm just saying there's a reason why the Rams traded 2 first-round picks for a 30-something-year-old Matthew Stafford. For plays like this, for the bombs spread in the field. I mean, it was a joy to watch. The whole game was just a total joy to watch. And every time that the Bears got close, the Rams offense responded, and that's how the Rams pulled away. And after, I want to say 4 minutes to go in the third quarter, Chicago didn't score any more points. The Rams held them without a point for like 16, 17 minutes to end the game. And also, I look just from a Chicago Bears perspective. I mean, Justin Fields, I don't know why he didn't play, right? I don't know why he didn't play more, because he was obviously way more dynamic than Andy Dalton. So I think the Rams still obviously would have won with Justin Fields in there, but he would have given them a different look, a different dynamic, maybe sparked them a little bit. But on the defensive side, I don't talk about him that often, I think, because it's just given how amazing he is. I talk about AD a lot, but Jalen Ramsey last night, we all know what Jalen Ramsey is. Like, we have a better sense of him than people probably outside of Jacksonville, because we see in them, it's like the tackling and just the total skill versatility and what he brings to the field. He's not just a traditional shutdown, like island guy, but he had 9 tackles, 2 of them for a loss, a pass breakup, and according to ESPN's Next Gen Stats, he allowed 5 catches on 8 targets for only 35 yards, which is only 4.4 yards a catch. Allen Robinson was a complete non-factor. And, Jalen Ramsey was all over the place. Textbook tackling. I mean, he was just really, he's such a complete football player, and he's totally invested and he's into it. People thought he could have been a malcontent with Jacksonville, but I mean, come on. Jacksonville is just, it's Jacksonville. So Jalen Ramsey, for me on defense, that guy is everything. And there's a reason why we picked, traded 2 first-rounders for him. You look at the 2 first-rounders that Jacksonville took and the 2 first-rounders that Detroit took, and would you rather have those 4 players, granted cost-controlled, over Jalen Ramsey and Matthew Stafford and how they completely take over a game? Like, Jalen Ramsey, there's no one else like him that plays defense in the NFL. There are other players there are top cornerbacks that are close to him in terms of just coverage, but like what he really brings, full package, he's unique. He's a unicorn. And last night was a Jalen Ramsey appreciation night for me. Jordan Fuller led the team in tackles. He had a very solid game. I saw him in there a lot of times running into the box. So the Rams had a very light box, a lot of times just 6 guys, and they were letting all these underneath throws in there. And so, the safeties were coming in and making plays. And, one guy on the defense, I said there's 2 guys I was really looking at. One was David Long, to really see, like, we would know based on this game kind of how the Rams really feel about David Long. They can talk him up all the time in training camp. And he didn't really play in the preseason, but they can talk him up all the time in training camp. But when it's on the line and the snaps count, is he there getting the snaps? And he was. David Long, he had an interception. It was a tip ball from Kenny Young, who played exceptionally well, but it was a tip ball. He intercepted it. He had a pass breakup. He had 5 tackles, and all the other, there was only one play where it kind of got away from him, but every other time a receiver caught the ball on him, he was right there making the tackle. So I thought David Long really acquitted himself well. And when he was out, because he cramped up, and when he went out, we had a Robert Rochelle signing. He got some action. He had a really nice pass breakup on third down the sideline. So, I mean, Robert Rochelle, we saw some really meaningful snaps from him. So the David Long, Robert Rochelle, if they can just improve and get this experience and confidence on the field, I think the Rams secondary goes from being kind of like, what do we do outside of Darius Williams and Jalen Ramsey, to, well, we have a really solid 3 or 4 DBs, cornerbacks that can really bring it. So, because someone will get dinged up this year. So hopefully we really build out that depth and get these guys some meaningful reps. And one of my personal favorite guys, Michael Hoyt, a defensive lineman, he got some playing time tonight. I remember he was on the field once with Greg Gaines. I was like, yeah, like that's a pretty awesome combo there, spelling Aaron Donald and maybe Sebastian Joseph Day or Ashawn Robinson. But the defensive or the running game for the Bears really ate, and they opened up a lot of holes. But I think, if you're going to pick your poison, right, the Rams said, okay, you're not going to beat us with any explosives. I mean, Andy Dalton had only 188 yards, but in the running game had 134 yards. So I think if you can live with that all the time, 188 passing yards, 134 rushing yards. Obviously you like to clean up the rushing yards a little bit, but I feel like that's what the Bears are really committing to. And they were just, all they could do were the underneath small things. So that's what the Rams were really playing against. Although last year, what made the Rams really unique is that they had these lighter boxes, six players most likely, but they only allowed a league low of 3.8 yards per carry. So they're presenting a lighter box or a light box, but they're also the most effective against the run. So I think that's going to be the challenge for them this year, is can they continue that? Or was this more, they're going against Jonathan Taylor next week against Indy, so we're going to see how they really play that. So, and then I think the last thing that really stood out to me was that Brian Allen did okay. He did okay. He was going up against Akeem Hicks. You look at them. I was really keeping an eye on them whenever they're going at it. Akeem Hicks is bigger. He's noticeably bigger and heftier than Brian Allen. So Brian Allen fought hard, and he didn't get completely destroyed. And I think Akeem Hicks got the best of him many times, but it wasn't like he didn't look completely lost out there. And so he looks better than 2019. I'm not saying he's all pro, but just like, if he can just stabilize and be an average center, then I think we're fine. So that was promising. And Havenstein, man, he did a great job against Khalil Mack. So I thought every time, Khalil Mack applied some pressure for sure, but it wasn't like he was quiet for the most part when getting in there. So I think Havenstein did a really, really good job. And Justin Hollins, that was the one guy I wanted to talk about. Justin Hollins, I felt this is a big year for him, going opposite of Leonard Floyd, getting a lot of reps. So it was really Justin Hollins and David Long on the defense I was looking at. And then on offense, it was Van Jefferson and Brian Allen. And then Darrell Henderson, you saw towards the end of the game, because Matthew Stafford was opening the field, and then Darrell Henderson was just ripping through. So and Sony Michel, I think, only got 1 snap. So anyways, that was just an all-around just premium amazing game. And the field looked great. The end zones were great, with the old school Rams, yellow and blue in there. The uniforms, the modern throwbacks were great. So if you guys have made it to the end of this video and you were actually at the game, let me know how it was. Like, how many Bears fans to Rams fans were there? What was the general vibe? I can only imagine after that Van Jefferson touchdown, like, it was going crazy. And let me know how that One Republic performance was. Just kidding. Or just how the sound system is. Because I remember at the Coliseum, it was 21 Pilots. And they're playing off in the corner, I think over by the Torch or something. And like the sound was terrible. And so it was a very forgettable performance. Not a fan of them anyway, but just how was the sound? Like, did it sound like a real concert style sound in there? But yeah, let me know what you think. Let me know what what your impressions of the game were, and Stafford and everything. And I'll be getting out a Indy Rams game preview in a couple of days. So yeah, like I said, if you haven't subscribed, please do so. You can check out another video. And until then, and as always, go Rams. All right, come back. Caught it. No look. No look. No look. I'm going third time's a charm.